In this second demo, I'm going to show you how to make a virtual machine highly available. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is actually remove my file share. So under roles, I had this RTS file 01. I'm going to select that and I'm going to go to remove, and we'll just get rid of that. And I'm also going to open the E drive. And that's where we had our shares and that corp data folder. I'm going to just delete that. We don't need it anymore since we removed that file share. Now I'm going to create a new virtual machine. Now before we do this, so you are aware of the requirements, I need failover clustering installed naturally. You also need your centralized storage configured, and you have to have Hyper-V installed. I meet all those requirements. So what I'm going to do is right click roles, virtual machines, and there's an option for a new virtual machine. When I select that, it gives me all the nodes in my cluster. I'm going to choose RTS Serve 1 since that's the machine I'm on, and I'll click OK. Now I just get the Hyper-V new virtual machine wizard. Same exact wizard we've been through many times already. So I'm going to choose Next. What do you want to name the virtual machine? I'm going to say RTS VM01. Now the one change I need to make. The virtual machine cannot be stored in this C program data because that would be local to this one server I'm actually on. It has to be stored in our cluster storage location. So I'm just going to go to Browse. I'm going to choose my E drive, and I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm just going to name the new folder VM. And I'll select that folder. I'll say Generation 2. Next. I'm not concerned about the memory right now, not concerned about the networking. The virtual hard drive. Notice that path is going to be EVM because it pulled that from the virtual machine configuration path we changed back here on the specified name and location. And we can just go next. I'm going to say install an operating system later, and we're finished. That's going to create the virtual machine in Hyper-V Manager. Then it's going to attempt to add it to the failover cluster, which was successful. So now when I click Finish, my virtual machine shows up here. So I can right click on this and now I can manage it from here. I can start, shut down, I can connect to it, I can save the state, I can manage replication, I can manage migrations. All those things I can now do here instead of in Hyper-V Manager. Now, if I were to go back to Hyper-V Manager, so I'm going to go to Tools and just pull up Hyper-V Manager. You'll see RTS VM01 shows up in the list. Now, let's say you already have a virtual machine. So I'm going to create a new virtual machine just directly in Hyper-V Manager. And I'm going to name it RTS-VM02. Store the virtual machine in a different location. Now I'm going to move that to the E drive again. And I'm going to choose that VM folder. And we'll just go next. Generation 1 or 2. Memory, networking, virtual hard disk. Notice it's going to the E drive and it's going to create a folder, RTS VM02. So I'm going to choose next for that. And we'll just say next and finish. Now, one thing I can do, assuming you installed Hyper-V, then sometime later you configure your failover cluster. I can change the default path. If I go to my Hyper-V settings, so I'm just going to right-click the Hyper-V host server, and Hyper-V settings, you see the path for virtual hard disks? You could actually browse and you could choose the E drive for that path. Now, once you do that, it's always going to store your virtual hard drives in that path. That is what's going to be pre-populated in that window. You could do the same for virtual machines. So instead of C program data, you could point it to like the E VM folder if you wanted. Then you don't have to change it each time you create a virtual machine. So that's an option. But now if we go back to the failover cluster, if I already have a virtual machine that I want to make highly available, I don't want to create a new VM, just add one. If I go to Roles, Configure Role, if I go to Next, At the bottom of the list of roles is virtual machine. If I choose that, this is going to give me a list of my virtual machines. So I could simply choose RTS VM02, and it's going to make that machine highly available. And it says that was successful and finished.